And in a first sign of what India's stand is going to be, developed nations enjoyed the fruits of energy and so they should cut emissions first. That's what India's representative to the talks, Piyush Goyal, said on the eve of the COP26, speaking rather bluntly.
Developed countries, which have already enjoyed the fruits of low-cost energy for several years, will have to go in for net zero much faster and possibly even go in for net negative so that they can release policy space and some carbon space for the developing countries to pursue their development agenda.
Meanwhile, leaders of the world's biggest economies are tackling climate change on Sunday. That is on the final day of the G20 summit. That's taking place in Rome, and that's widely expected to set the tone for this major conference on the same issue that's taking place in Glasgow in Scotland over the next 2 weeks. The group of G20 countries, which represent more than 3/4 of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, they've been looking for some common ground on how to reduce emissions while helping poorer countries deal with the impact of rising temperatures. The future of coal, which is a key source of greenhouse gas emissions, has been one of the hardest things for the G20 to agree on, and they've reportedly, the G20 or the world's most advancing nations, have said that they will stop financing unabated coal plants abroad by the end of the year. This is what they've reportedly written in a draft statement, according to the Associated Press. Remember, coal is still China's main source of power generation, and both China and India have resisted attempts for a G20 declaration on phasing out domestic coal consumption. Meanwhile, of course, on the sidelines of all of this, the G20 leaders gathered in the morning in front of Rome's famous Trevi fountain to take part in that coin-tossing tradition. Joe Biden, the US president, did not attend that effect, and they are lined up in front of the majestic fountain, threw in their coins into the turquoise waters. Those coins are of €1 coins with Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man on the back. That was the symbol of the summit. And the legend in Rome, of course, is that if one throws a coin into the Trevi fountain, they will be sure to return. Meanwhile, back home, fuel prices are hiked for the 5th straight day. The price of petrol and diesel in Delhi, 109 rupees per litre and 98 rupees per litre. Petrol and diesel prices in Mumbai, 115 rupees per litre and 106 rupees per litre. In Kolkata, 109 and 101, and in Chennai, 106 and 102 rupees respectively.
महंगा हो रहा है, हर चीज महंगाई पे तो आम जनता पिस रही है। इसमें काम तो करना ही करना है, आदमी चलने के लिए पेट्रोल डलाएगा। आम मिडिल क्लास, सबसे मार मिडिल क्लास पे पड़ती है।
दिक्कत तो मैडम बहुत आ रही है, क्योंकि सैलरी वैलरी बढ़ रही नहीं है, मालिक भी मनमर्जी करता है और इधर दाम हर चीज़ पे बढ़े जा रहे हैं, गैस पे भी बढ़े जा रहे हैं, पेट्रोल पे भी बढ़े जा रहे हैं।
And Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, the Congress General Secretary in charge of Uttar Pradesh, addressed a public rally in the UP Chief Minister's bastion of Gorakhpur. This ahead of the upcoming assembly elections in the state. The rally comes just days after the Congress leader launched her party's election campaign. This in Varanasi, the Prime Minister's constituency, where she targeted the reported failures of the Adityanath-led BJP government in meeting its promises to the people of the state.
किसानों के लिए मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि हमारी ये प्रतिज्ञा है कि हम आपका पूरा कर्जा माफ करेंगे। हमने पहले भी ऐसी प्रतिज्ञा की थी और आप जानते हैं कि 72,000 करोड़ रुपए का कर्जा हमने माफ किया था कांग्रेस पार्टी के सरकार ने। किसानों के लिए गेहूं और धान 2500 पर क्विंटल में खरीदा जाएगा।
And early on Sunday morning, the Kannada film star Puneeth Rajkumar was laid to rest. The untimely death on Friday of the 46-year-old actor, the youngest son of the superstar Dr. Rajkumar, plunged millions of his fans into shock and grief. Maya Sharma reports.
Before dawn on Sunday, the funeral procession of Puneeth Rajkumar left the Kantirva Stadium in Bengaluru, where thousands of fans had come to say goodbye to their Appu, as he was affectionately known. It was an emotional farewell for the actor, from family, friends and admirers. His final resting place at the Kantirva studio, close to where his parents, Dr. Rajkumar and Parvatama, are buried.
ಇಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಅಪ್ಪು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋರು ಅವ್ರ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಪ್ರೀತಿಸಿ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೊರಟೋದಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ನಂಬಕ್ಕಾಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಸತ್ಯ ಅದು. ಅಪ್ಪುಗೂ ನನಗೂ 10 ವರ್ಷ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಶೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು ಅವನ ಮಗನೇ ಅಂತಿದ್ದೆ. ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿಲ್ಲ, ಪುತ್ರ ಶೋಕ ನಿರಂತರ ಅಂತ. ನನಗೆ ಮಗನೇ ಅವನು.
Crowds had followed Puneeth in life and from the day of his hospitalization and death on Friday. And despite the early hour, the day of his funeral was no different. They had travelled from wherever they were to pay their respects.
Actually, I came from Raichur district. He is my hero. I feel very sad. He is a very personality. Yeah, I inspired a lot from him.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಾನು ಆಂಧ್ರದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಹೌದು ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅವರಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಣ, ತುಂಬ ಇಷ್ಟ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅವರಂದರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನೋಡೋಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಅಂದರೆ ನಿಜವಾಗೂ ಭಾಳ ಇದಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
Even those who had never met him felt they shared a personal bond with their Appu. The final resting place of the much-loved star Puneeth Rajkumar, gone too soon at the age of just 46. Appu, as he was affectionately known, was laid to rest next to his parents, the superstar Dr. Rajkumar and Srimati Parvatama. Puneeth managed to reach people and create love in their hearts, whether they knew him personally or even if they didn't. Puneeth donated his eyes, one of the many ways in which he will live on in the hearts of those who loved him. With DM Kumar, Maya Sharma in Bengaluru for NDTV.
And a stretch of the Jammu-Rajouri National Highway was reopened for traffic on Sunday morning, more than 2 weeks after it was shut in view of an ongoing counter-insurgency operation. The operation to track down a group of hiding terrorists who are responsible for the killing of 9 soldiers in Poonch and Rajouri district has entered its 21st day.
An uneasy calm in the forests of Poonch after heavy gunfire during last 3 weeks. There is no sign if any militants who attacked army twice and killed 9 soldiers are still there or managed to escape. For last 1 week, locals say they didn't hear any firing. On the side of Dera Ki Gali or DKG, where encounter started on October 11, locals say it seems the operation is over.
तो लास्ट टाइम पे आपने कब यहाँ फायरिंग सुनी थी?
सर आज 15-20 दिन हो गए। इधर गली में जो हुआ था उसके बाद वही बताते हैं, उसके बाद अभी कुछ नहीं है सर पूरा मैंने।
तो किसी को अंदाजा नहीं क्या हो रहा है?
कुछ नहीं।
Portion of forests have also caught fire in Batta Duriya area that witnessed a gun battle on October 14, in which 4 soldiers were killed. Fire is believed to be caused by heavy shelling on suspected militant hideouts. Last week, police said another trial terrorist Zia Mustafa from POK, who was in jail for 18 years, was killed in firing while being taken to encounter site for identification of a terrorist hideout. 5 soldiers were killed during an encounter at Dera Ki Gali on October 11. On October 14, 4 soldiers were killed at Batta Duriya area. Eventually, Jammu-Poonch highway was closed at Dimbar Ki Gali. Announcements from mosques were also made urging people not to come out of their homes as army intensified their offensive. On October 24, police said jailed POK terrorist was killed at encounter site.
3 weeks ago, a massive anti-militancy operation was launched in these Poonch forests to track down hiding militants. On 11th of October, first incident of firing was reported in which 5 army soldiers lost their lives. Since then, army has been trying hard to track down hiding militants in these dense forests. But after 3 weeks, it seems the longest counter-militancy operation in Jammu and Kashmir in recent times is hitting a dead end. In Poonch, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
Welcome back now. Schools in Delhi have been largely closed for nearly 19 months. Finally, citing the COVID situation being under control, the Delhi government has announced schools will reopen from the 1st of November at 50% capacity. That is from Monday. This is going to be completely voluntary based. However, students who've had a difficult last 1 year coping with online classes, they are looking forward to finally seeing a classroom. Sonakshi Chakravarti reports.
For Sushila Devi, a homemaker residing in R.K. Puram in Delhi's Ambedkar Basti, the news of schools reopening is a huge relief. Her 2 children haven't had access to books or learning since the March of 2020. Her children, who study in class 5 and class 8, have lost out on the entire year with no access to a mobile phone.
हमारे बच्चे पढ़ाई करें, जिनके पास मोबाइल है, भाई डेटा से जिनकी पढ़ाइयाँ हो रही हैं, ऑनलाइन पढ़ाई हो रही है, मोबाइल है, तो वो कर पा रहे हैं। और जो इंसान मजबूर है, जिनके पास फ़ोन नहीं है, तो वो तो अपने बच्चों का कैसे ना कैसे करके करेगा ही करेगा। बहुत खुश हूँ मैडम, हम तो बहुत खुश हैं।
12-year-old Anishka dreams of becoming a doctor. She says the past year has been difficult grasping information on a mobile screen and cannot wait to return to a classroom.
वैसे अगर मैं YouTube पे से भी समझती थी या जैसे भी, तो मुझे इतना प्रॉब्लम हो जाता था कि समझ में नहीं आता था सीधा सीधा। उन्होंने बोला कि अब हम जो बड़ी क्लासेस हैं अभी हम उन्हें टीचिंग कर रहे हैं, तो अभी हम नहीं पढ़ा पाएंगे।
Senior classes have begun school in Delhi since August this year. In private schools, attendance has been low, but government schools have seen most children returning to school. 14-year-old Amarchand explains why.
मेरे पास भी फ़ोन नहीं था मैम, तो जिसके कारण पापा ने फिर मेरे लिए भी फ़ोन ख़रीदा था। फ़ोन से पढ़ने में तो ये है कि सिर गर्म हो जाता था, सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये थी।
From Monday, many children who have never been to school before will step into a classroom for the first time.
My 5-year-old who started his big school journey online, I think the social and developmental losses from 600 plus days of schools being closed are just far too great to ignore.
Government schools will all open from Monday. Private schools are likely to open only after Diwali.
We plan to start in a phased manner post Diwali. So we are looking forward to having the children back with us.
If state governments want schools to reopen fully, then there must be a collective effort to ensure that every single person is vaccinated on the school campuses to begin with. After all, it is time for our children to step out in this new normal. With Sushil Rathi, Sonakshi Chakravarti, NDTV.
And the government is claiming that reports of a fertilizer shortage being faced by farmers across states like UP, Punjab and Haryana are false and baseless, even though on the ground, desperate farmers have been seen going to extreme measures. Take a look in this report from Haryana.
Shortage of fertilizer in Haryana is so acute that it has led to open looting by farmers. Wheat sowing season has started, but there is no fertilizer, and farmers like Satbir Singh in Haryana's Kaithal district are getting desperate after standing in queues for 3 days.
तो मिला नहीं
मिले बाबू।
कितने गड्ढे चाहिए?
18 जी।
तो कितने दे रहे हैं आपको? कितने के लिए कहा गया?
ये तो 3 कह रहे हैं जी।
Harban Kaur is also waiting in line while her husband tries to sell the paddy crop.
एक आदमी वो भी मंडी में बैठे हैं, कितने दिन से परेशान हो रहे हैं, बच्चे हैं, अब आएंगे स्कूल से, खाना खाएंगे नहीं खाएंगे, छोटे हैं अभी।
Haryana's Agriculture Minister JP Dalal has said about 3 lakh metric tons of DAP fertilizer is needed for the next Rabi crop. Till date, about 1.3 lakh metric tons of DAP manure was available, of which 1.10 lakh metric tons had been given to farmers. As farmers get desperate, state central government officials blame China for the shortage.
प्रोडक्शन देखिए ज़्यादातर ये चाइना से आयात होता था। चाइना से हमारे व्यावसायिक संबंध खराब होने के कारण जो है इसकी आपूर्ति पर फर्क पड़ा है।
This is not a crisis that is limited to Kaithal or even Haryana. Farmers from several states including Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala have all in the past few weeks complained about fertilizer shortages. Delay in sowing the wheat crop will impact the subsequent earning of farmers, and many fear that they will be forced to take additional loans at a time when many farmers in the region have seen crop damage due to unseasonal rain. With Sunil Ravish in Kaithal and Mohammad Ghazali, D. Joshua Chin for NDTV.
And finally, if India's youth can decide who to vote for, they can also decide what to watch. That's what stand-up comedian Munawar Faruqui has said to NDTV after 3 shows in Mumbai of his were cancelled following threats from the Bajrang Dal. The Mumbai shows were cancelled after members of the Bajrang Dal threatened to burn down the venues.
काफ़ी आपके अगेंस्ट हैशटैग चलाए गए, ट्रेंड बनाया गया, यहाँ पर आया, कहा गया, आपको कब समझ में आया? क्योंकि हमने देखा इससे पहले भी क्या कुछ हुआ, लेकिन फिर वापस एक ही चीज़ वापस से दोहराई जा रही है. किस तरह से आप देखते हैं? क्योंकि जो ऑडिटोरियम्स हैं वो भी काफ़ी समय तक बंद थे, कई लोग आते हैं वहाँ पर काम करने, हमने उस पर भी स्टोरी की थी. 3 शोज बैक टू बैक आपने कैंसिल करने पड़े.
ये सैड है, ये काफ़ी सैड है ये चीज़, बट कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है कि क्या गलत अगर मैं इसको कहूँ भी कि ये गलत हो रहा है, तो आई थिंक अभी बहुत सारी चीज़ें गलत हो रही है. तो ये बड़ी बात ऑडियंस के लिए है, क्योंकि आज ऐसी चीज़ है कि 1500 लोग अगर 3 दिन तक 500 लोग प्लान कर रहे हैं कुछ, और एक महीने पहले टिकट्स खरीदे हुए हैं, तो दे आर वेरी एक्साइटेड. ये गलत इसलिए है क्योंकि किसी इंसान को काम करने से रोकना और उस पर इल्ज़ाम ये लगाना कि वो जो काम कर रहा है उसमें ये कर रहा है, तो वो बिल्कुल गलत है. मेरे शोज़ में ऐसा कोई भी किसी के धर्म के बारे में किसी तरह की कोई ऐसी टिप्पणी है ही नहीं.
पूछना चाहूँगी, ये पहली बार नहीं है, अगर जब से ये सारी चीज़ें वापस शुरू हुई हैं, ये पहली बार तो नहीं होगा कि आपका शो कैंसिल किया गया है कुछ?
पहली बार नहीं, लास्ट टू लास्ट वीक मेरे 1 अक्टूबर को ना गुजरात में शोज थे, और गुजरात शो में भी उन्होंने सेम चीज़ करी, ऑडिटोरियम को धमकी दिया, और ऑडिटोरियम बहुत वही तोड़ फोड़ करने का धमकी. मेरे पास सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर है, आई कैन वर्क, मैं बेल पे हूँ, मेरे बेल ऑर्डर में सुप्रीम कोर्ट जब मुझे रोकता नहीं है काम करने से, तो आई डोंट थिंक मुझे कोई रोक सकता है. 50 में से ज़्यादा धमकियाँ आती है. मैंने 3 बार सिम कार्ड चेंज कर चुका हूँ, नंबर लीक होता है, मुझे कॉल करके गाली वाली देते. नफरत हावी हो रही है, एक शो कैंसिल हुआ इसका मतलब है नफरत हावी हो रही है, लोग हेट फैला रहे हैं.
And that's the news at this hour. Bye bye.